it sounds like the Flames are in full negotiations mode as they continue to leak information to Jeff Marek and Elliot Friedman.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Today, we're going to talk about the Flames hiring Brad Larsen, who has taken over and filled the vacancy of Mark Savard, as well as the Flames laying it all out for whoever wants to hear it, Markstrom suitors, as they discussed today on the Jeff Marek Show. And how do we continue to get this ball rolling and moving? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. So last night it was announced that Brad Larsen had been hired by the Calgary Flames as their new assistant head coach. Spent 2 years as the Columbus Blue Jackets head coach and 9 years in total with the organization. He has experience running a power play. We're going to have a guest on tomorrow to talk more about Brad Larsen, but the overwhelming consensus is not good. I think it's a rather negative perception, and I mean, can't blame one guy for everything, right? We did that with Sutter, and Flames still didn't play well. So, there's multiple factors that go into these things. When he spoke to the media about, when media asked what his duties were, he said, I'm up for anything. So, I mean, I'm sure he knew his responsibilities and everything of sorts, but it's just funny to think that, he just didn't get told he wasn't informed of the potential responsibilities of his new position. Like, obviously everyone kind of has their own role, but Brad Larsen will handle the penalty kill as well as working with the forwards. So it's his opportunity to hopefully get this penalty kill together and back to where up top, close to top as it can be with what the Flames have. But I do want to just go over the Flames, the coaching responsibilities. So obviously Brad Larsen handles the penalty kill and the work with the forwards. Cale McLean will handle the power play and also work with the forwards. And Dan Lambert will continue to work with the defensive group. And Lambert ran the penalty kill last year, which was a continuation of Huska's penalty kill work the 5 years prior. Huska says Larsen will also be a senior assistant and will be the liaison between the rest of the coaching staff and Huska. Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Pat Steinberg, for reporting that and, putting that together for us, because someone has to. It's good to know that all the ducks are in a row ahead of the draft. I think that that's important. I mean, obviously, it's not a deal breaker if they aren't, but it's nice to have just, something that's cut and dry and ready to go for the season, and someone that, has more time to kind of brainstorm and get acclimated with the players, the film that they'll probably watch and whatnot ahead of the season to kind of try to figure out what might work. Obviously, without Hanifin and Tanev, your penalty kills kind of, you're looking for more with it. But he has experience working with a younger group, and I think that that's important here to note. There are just some coaches that just don't work well with young players. We've seen it in the past. Bruce Cassidy was supposedly not super good with the young kids in Boston. Gallant in New York with the Rangers a few years ago. Obviously Daryl Sutter. They earn these reputations for a reason, and do with it what you will. I don't know. I'm excited for the Flames to be back out on the ice. I know it's only June 12th, but I do miss Flames hockey, and it would be super cool if the off season could just hurry up, because I'm sure all of us miss watching Flames hockey. And then 3 weeks into the season, we'll say, never mind, we're over it. But no, I think it's good to keep your expectations low, to avoid any disappointment, and it lessens the blow. I don't know if there's really much that you can put much stock into right now with the Flames. I think that it's still a work in progress, and just kind of filling the holes and plugging along. That's really all you can do for the time being, and hope that there are some good changes made, because you can't move forward if you're just doing the same thing. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the Flames' continuation of their wonderful discussions and what we're hearing out of the media regarding the Jacob Markstrom trade. And we will be right back after this. But first, I do want to talk to you about Game Time. Game Time makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Doesn't even just have to be NBA games, y'all. It could be MLB games. It could be local concerts, comedy events, theater, you name it. Game Time has it all. Save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sporting, concerts, comedy, and theater events near you. And you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so that way you know just exactly what you're seeing. It's the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time coverage, you have your purchase is completely covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts so you never miss an episode. As we have discussed since the middle of the season, Jacob Markstrom is a hot name on the market. We know that he did waive his no trade clause for New Jersey. Someone on the Flames side said, nah, we change our minds because of retention, and that's just that. You can't fix it. And then Markstrom came out and said, I wish it was handled better. Well, still not exactly being handled the best, because things are happening that just, he didn't want his name in the headlines. He didn't want this to be a whole storyline, and here we are. So from NHL Trade Alert, they tweeted, Elliott believes Calgary is prepared to trade him, Jacob Markstrom, but they haven't given up on the idea he will play for them again. Trade would be different for every team. Team X is this, Team Y is this. It's not a one-size-fits-all trade, meaning a pick and a prospect as general return. Elliott names New Jersey, LA, Toronto, and Ottawa as possible teams. Calgary has made it clear while they're willing to do it, it's something that has to make sense for them. They aren't going to do it just for the sake of doing it. Alrighty. So, that's certainly something. And then he continues on saying, I believe that he, Jacob Markstrom, wants to play for a team that is in a winning situation. I believe Calgary has not given up on the possibility that it could be them. Yeah, so Calgary, I guess, still thinks that they're competitive, I guess. Which is nice. You know, you should always believe in yourself, but do you really think that when you look at the teams that are in the Stanley Cup final right now, you are not anywhere near that. Jacob Markstrom is not winning anything with you. Unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. Like, I don't enjoy talking about how stinky this team currently is. It's not fun. I enjoy talking about good hockey teams, exciting moments a lot more. But unfortunately, these are the lumps that we have to take. And it's not realistic to think the Flames are going to win the Stanley Cup within the next 3 years for the remainder of his contract. This could also be a negotiating tactic because, I mean, again, we hear everything for a reason. The Flames want to keep it quiet, but what we do hear is what we're supposed to hear. It's also still being reported that New Jersey is, really willing to do what they need to do to make this happen. And they are the most, I guess, aggressive team would be the right word to use. They're taking their time with this too, like saying, oh yeah, like we'll do it. Like, we're open to it, but maybe we won't. We'll just dilly-dally. Like, it doesn't have to be done by a certain time. Like, there's no deadline. Well, let's unpack this a little bit, okay? Let us unpack this. Number one, this is all negotiating tactics. This is just, oh yeah, no, we don't need what you have. It's okay. You don't need Jacob Markstrom. It's okay. Or, every trade is different. So you're gonna find out that, maybe LA's return is a little bit different than what New Jersey's offering or what Ottawa's offering. And this is just all some sort of tactic. Because I am fully believing that they have told Jacob Markstrom that they're going to trade him. It's just a matter of what team. Because if you don't trade him after botching this a second time, Jacob Markstrom is not going to go out there and intend any goal. You think he's slip and sliding to the blue line and like through the neutral zone 2 seasons ago? No, he's going to be going up and down the ice the whole game. He is not going to be happy. He is not going to want to do, he's not going to be on his A game. You guys think that he gives up too many goals on the first shot? Watch it triple. Like, there is no reason for him to have any loyalty to this team if management once again botches this. And it is driving me bananas because I'm sure that there are other things that have gone on behind the scenes, right? Like, that's what life is. And that's like, you aren't negotiating everything out in public so everyone can see it. And it's tough. Like, I would love for Markstrom to stay with this team, but I also know that there's a better return of investment out there if he gets traded, and having Dustin Wolf bump up to an NHL goaltender full time. And there's just nothing that, like, makes sense about this not being a negotiating tactic, because while I think the Flames would love to keep him, I don't think they're delusional enough to think that they're actually competitive. There is no way. And like I said, he did everyone a favor during the season, right? He did everyone a favor by agreeing to waive his no trade clause, had the trade ready to go, and they backed out. So if they do that again, you're going to have one upset person on your hands. Because, I mean, yeah, third time's a charm, but also, like, it shouldn't even take a second try to do this. This should have been done during the season. And it stinks. It stinks because I don't want Markstrom to leave. But at the same time, like, there's way too many log jams that need to be freed, and the goaltender thing is one of them. I don't like the idea of just holding Markstrom for the sake of holding Markstrom. And I don't think Markstrom likes that either. And I don't think the Flames really want to go through with that. They just need to find a deal that makes the most sense. Apparently, Markstrom's only told them New Jersey's the only team he'll go to. So maybe, you know, with LA being interested, maybe, you know, they're a playoff team. They've made the playoffs these last few years and could use consistent goaltending. It would actually be kind of funny if Markstrom goes there, because that would be the second time in his career he takes over for David Riddick and Cam Talbot. Kind of funny. Ironic even, but, you know, Markstrom does hold the cards here, but at the same time, like, if that is where he wants to go, the Flames need to make that happen. Simple as that. But coming up next, we are going to talk about moving forward, as well as some possible players that may be on the move during this upcoming season. Before we dive into the next round of pending free agents, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. A lot of life is unpredictable, but a good life insurance plan gives your family a financial safety net to protect against some of the unknowns. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It makes choosing the right policy for your family easy and quick. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Life is unpredictable, and you never know what situation you might find yourself in, whether you are the adult or if you are the child or beneficiary of someone on a life insurance policy. And Policygenius makes it so easy and to make sure that you are covered. Policygenius helps you compare options from America's top insurers in just a few clicks. Your work's life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. Get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com, click the link in the description box to get your free life insurance quotes. And see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at JessBelmosto. I think it's funny that this past year, the philosophy was like, we don't want any hostages. If you want to go, you need to tell us and we'll make that happen, because there's no sense in keeping you if you don't want to be here. Like, we need an all-in mentality. And that's kind of where they're kind of stuck with Jacob Markstrom right now. I don't know. I feel like that's, I don't want to say hypocritical, but it feels kind of like contradictory. I feel like you should want him to like you should want to move him if he doesn't want to be here, and maybe be a little bit more aggressive about it. But we knew that the Flames coming into the season had 6 or 7 pending free agents. I think it was technically 6 once Toffoli was traded. But this upcoming year, this time next year, they will have 8. Mangiapane, Kuzmenko, Sharangovich, Kevin Rooney, Walker Dewar, Dryden Hunt, Joel Hanley, and Dan Vladar. Okay, so what are we doing? We've talked about a Mangiapane trade. We have talked about Kuzmenko, flipping him. I don't see a 27, 28-year-old in this team's long-term plan, because I'm sure that's what he's looking for. You know, if he's looking for a 4-year deal, sure. I think that that's a fair term. But other than that, like, you can't just throw term at these players. After trading Jacob Markstrom and figuring out your contract situation with Oliver Shillington, which you should just hand, you know, you need to just hand him the contract and say, please. I think that would be really nice to have him back. But they need to figure out what to do, or what the plan is with Igor Sharangovich, because while he is still young, 25, 26, younger, he's still in his prime. I don't know if you want to lock up another player for 6 or 7 years. I don't know if that's what you want to do. And I don't know if Sharangovich is the player to do that. He has averaged, 20 plus goals a season, or projected to hit 25 goals the last few years, really his first few years of his career. And he was pretty consistent last season, but was last season an outlier. I would like to go into the season and see where things are at, because you look at the haul that they got for Elias Lindholm, and I don't think that you would get a ginormous haul for Sharangovich. I think you would get like good pieces, but and Lindholm wasn't even like performing that well when he was traded. So imagine if Sharangovich goes into the season and inflates his value even more, what you might get. But then you also run the risk of what happens if he doesn't do well. But then you look at Elias Lindholm and it's like, oh, okay. But I think that should be on the front burner, because this is a situation that needs to be ironed out, just like everyone else is. And what I would love to see Sharangovich with the team for another few years. I think that he is a great player. I think that he is fun. I think that he brings a certain level of like calmness to the team. I think that like he's very level-headed, especially him and Huberdeau building chemistry off the ice by building Legos together, and that obviously helped their connection on the ice. So I think that that's, there's obviously other things to do other than build Legos together, but that's just one thing. I don't want to just tear it down to the studs. You can't with this roster anyways. But I think what you could possibly do as well is trade Rasmus Andersson, who isn't a UFA until the following summer. So, yeah, no, that's not words I ever thought I would say on this podcast, but I don't think it's realistic to like sign a 30-year-old defenseman. like to a long-term deal. I think that that's crazy. And I understand that Rasmus Andersson was drafted by this organization. He's homegrown. He has clawed his way up. I saw his draft combine picture, and now I understand why Huska called him lazy. Like he just looked, he did not look like he was going to be a professional athlete. I'll just say that. And he has really worked his way up there and to become a top pairing defenseman. And I think that that's great. But can you do something now if it's going to benefit the future? It's just something to think about. Just an idea. And I hate that I even have to think about it, but we do. Here at Locked On Flames, we are exploring every option and every avenue. And we will be back tomorrow, talk more about Brad Larsen and how he is as we're going to be joined by Jay from Locked On Columbus Blue Jackets, and he's going to be real honest with me. He already let me know that it may not be as complimentary as one would hope. But thank you, everyone. Make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day.